Today, we are going to be talking about 3 billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, so stay tuned.
Welcome to The Real Review.
Welcome to The Real Review, sponsored by Parametric and Lazy Ape Studios, where you get some of the latest happenings, real thoughts, and perspectives in the world of film and television. Everybody, I'm here with Joel.
You didn't think one.
Aren't you awesome, Cunningham?
Oh, thank you. I like that you defaulted because you most likely didn't have one to something complimentary.
It's just one of those weird days.
It's one of those
It's a weird
days,
day, guys.
Yes.
It's a weird day.
Well, I am here with Matt. Can't wait for Friday because of Star Wars. Hey.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait. People have already seen this movie.
Yeah, I know. A lot of people have.
Like 3 days ago.
I have a friend that's part of one of the Stormtrooper units. So I don't know if you know all the craziness that goes into that. Like, you can legitimately become part of a Stormtrooper unit. And he actually got to go to a sneak preview viewing of the movie a week ago with his unit of Stormtroopers.
Okay, I'm frustrated about that. Let's move on.
There you go. It is frustrating. I understand, Matt.
No, it's all good. But yeah, so we got one movie we're going to talk about today before the storm that is The Last Jedi that comes up this next weekend.
The
but
kerfuddle.
I know. I think we should do multiple reviews. Like, I'm going to do one right after seeing the movie, and then we'll do a in-depth one maybe next week.
Yeah.
And then, anyways, okay, so
we'll do a live one.
Right.
Yeah.
Something wild.
Oh my gosh, we just saw Star Wars.
Yeah, let's get a little crazy on that. But real fast, how can people get connected with us here on the show?
Yes, there's a number of good ways to get connected to the podcast.
Yes.
One of the best ways, Facebook, which is realreviewmedia.com/Facebook.com/realreviewmedia. Got those reversed there. Then also realreviewmedia.com, which is our website. You can go ahead and get connected on there with the newsletter and everything we got going on.
Yep.
We also have our Instagram and our Twitter, which are both at Real Review Media. And then we'd love to hear your thoughts, perspectives. We'd love to hear any of the things we're talking about here, your ideas, concepts, whatever. Shoot us an email. realreviewmedia@gmail.com.
Boom.
So yeah, and I will say this about Star Wars. Last thing, I'm optimistic. I'm not trying to. I don't want to blow it out of the water. I just want to go in and just be like, let's see what they did.
This is a movie that I actually feel kind of anxious for.
Okay.
Just because I'm concerned about the characters. Anyways,
yeah. So
let's move right along. If you're new to the show, we kind of take more of the fan perspective. I tend to be a little bit more emotional, a little bit more yay. I can overlook some technical things and some plot details if necessary.
Yes.
Joel's a little bit more critical, potentially more negative.
A little bit, a lot of
it. Anyways, so we kind of bring them together to give you the real review. But let's start today. We're going to just talk about one movie shortly, I guess briefly here, that you got a chance to see that I did not get a chance to see.
Yes.
And that is 3 Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri.
Yes, the most ridiculous title, I'm not going to lie, probably of the year. 3 Billboards Outside of Ebbing, Missouri.
E-M.
Yes.
This is called that. To Boehm.
This one I went and go see. There's a lot of Oscar buzz, as we know. We're in Oscar season right now as well. There's a ton of films that are getting a ton of Oscar buzz, and I've only seen maybe a handful at this point. This is one of the ones that I wanted to check out while I knew it was still in theaters.
Yeah.
And had a chance to go and watch it with a couple friends, and doing really good things on Rotten Tomatoes. It's actually getting really good ratings and reviews. I personally did not know what to expect with this movie at all. But I'll give sort of the brief synopsis for it, and then we'll get into it.
Cool.
So, synopsis is, after months have passed without a culprit in her daughter's murder case, Mildred Hayes makes a bold move, painting 3 signs leading into her town with a controversial message directed at William Willoughby, who is the sheriff, the town's revered chief of police. Sorry, I should say chief of police. When a second-command officer Dixon, an immature mother's boy with penchant for violence, get involved, the battle between Mildred and Ebbing's law enforcement is only exacerbated. Directed by Martin McDonough. It's also written by him. It stars Frances McDormand as Mildred, Woody Harrelson, Sam Rockwell.
Don't you know?
Don't you know?
Yep.
Abby Cornish, Lucas Hedges as Mildred's son, Zelchko Ivanek.
Yes.
There's a bunch of people. Peter Dinklage is also in there. John Hawkes is in there. It's got a pretty good, and Clark Peters. It's got an okay size. It's not huge size. So
cool.
Going into this again, I didn't really know what to expect. It was a limited release, not showing in a ton of theaters, getting a lot of Oscar buzz, and with that, oftentimes comes a certain weight of what is to be expected with the film, that if it's going to be limited release and it's going to be an Oscar-worthy type film, I'm expecting very edgy in a sense, and also very strong, dramatic, content, not pulling any punches back. And I would say, to the film's credit, this absolutely does that. This is a film that doesn't really pull itself back very far. So Mildred plays this character that's upset and angered about the passing of her daughter, and you find this out at the very beginning of the film. Her daughter was basically murdered. She was raped and murdered, and I believe, according to the narrative, the story actually burned to death.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, and so you kind of come into the story a number of months after the passing of her daughter, and so that she's kind of moved on in a sense as far as like getting her life in order, but emotionally and the scar of the relationship, she definitely has not moved on. But the town, as is common with most people, and especially in like small towns and stuff like that, the town itself has kind of moved on with life. They've kind of moved on to their different individual areas and everything like that. One of the strengths, especially with this script, move out of the story a little bit here, one of the strengths of the script here is really, I think, the side characters, the cast of side characters. Woody Harrelson plays a really funny kind of interesting chief of police. Sam Rockwell as well plays a very weird kind of character. He's almost like, did you ever see Burn After Reading?
Nope. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, there's a character in that's played by Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And he's kind of this like, hey, guys, like way too much energy. And he's kind of like stupid though. Sam Rockwell's like his brother. It would be like, so he plays this police officer that's a little bit stupid.
Okay.
A lot of it's stupid at times.
Okay.
And has kind of done some dumb things and some bad things, but it's a small town, so he's able to get away with a lot of stuff. You know what I mean? Because there's generally not a lot of issues in the town, and he can just kind of be this idiot cop.
Right.
So, but he's like sort of one of Woody. I guess Woody Harrelson kind of like has a lot of respect for him and wants him to be successful. And so the film, I'll go back to the story. The film kind of follows this battle, if you will, that sort of erupts in the town around Mildred's character putting up these 3 billboards that are very attacking.
Hence the name.
Right. That are very attacking towards Chief Willoughby and the decisions or the process or the plan or the investigation that he's doing into the murder and rape of her daughter.
Okay.
She feels like not enough's being done. She feels like there's been reasons for why they haven't found the killer yet. And so she puts up these billboards as in her mind, I believe, a last-ditch effort to try and draw attention back to her daughter. Because, again, everybody seems to have kind of moved on with their lives and it's kind of gone.
And that's kind of the basics of the story.
It's the basics of the story. And then from there, it's kind of let the characters sort of run wild within that scenario. And there's some really good things. There was definitely moments that you really laugh at the stupidity and at the weirdness and the quirkiness.
I like laughing.
It's a very odd movie at times. There's a couple moments where you're just kind of left going, what's happening here? Why is this doing that? It's like, it almost is like the film becomes self-aware enough to the point where it's willing to kind of wink at the camera with like certain talk, like conversations. Like there's a moment where Mildred's having this conversation with like a deer that shows up while she's planting these flowers for her daughter underneath the billboards.
Gotcha.
And it's just this very weird moment that she kind of has with the deer where she like almost thinks it's her daughter. And it's just, there's moments like that kind of play out where things kind of just jump out at you and they're just like awkwardly funny. And then there's other moments where it goes into some really darker kind of depths of, some really bad stuff that people are willing
human
to
depravity.
Do. Yeah. So it mixed this like edgy kind of sharp humor with that sort of depravity, and it makes for a very awkward, I would say, and not necessarily a bad way, but a very awkward ride because you're kind of on the edge of your seat wondering what's about to happen and at different times. And Mildred herself, Frances McDormand, plays a very harsh character. If you think of like I don't know who you would compare to, but if you've got like an aunt, like I have an aunt who's a police officer and she's very like in charge and telling people what to think and how to act. And she plays that kind of a character and she hates pretty much everybody. She treats everybody like crap and she'll find something to pick at with whoever, you know. And there's reasons for it, I guess, according to the script, but I think she's just kind of a person that would just always be a rough and gruff and not a very nice person to begin with. And she lives in a small town, so, she bumps into a lot of people because of that. It goes into some issues at times, so getting more into like the bad areas of the film.
Okay.
I feel like it goes into some areas at times where it didn't really know how to handle those super well.
Okay.
Specifically when it comes to things like racism, police brutality, how to recover from loss and depression. I felt like they were, in a way, trying to have their cake and eat it too. Like present those things and say that they were a part of the world, but not really have a good, successful commentary about them. And again, you know me, I'm not the kind of the person that enjoys anybody getting on a soapbox in a film and just making it about a cause.
Oh, I know that, Joel.
Yeah, but that kind of is just how it ended up being.
Okay.
So I didn't really enjoy that aspect of it. I also felt like, as much as I understood the reason for why they made Frances McDormand's character Mildred such a negatively impactful character to the people that are around her, she comes off as such a mean person at times and such an aggressive person that I really had a hard time connecting with.
Yeah, it's hard to like feel sympathy for her.
Yeah, and I think the main like story arc of this was that she gets her redemption. That's the main hope that you're supposed to have in this story. And I ended up connecting better with the side characters, with her son, with Sam Rockwell's character, Jason Dixon in the film, and the cast of side characters that sort of make up this world. Even Peter Dinklage, you know, she really, in the script, she really mistreats him. And you can tell the whole story, she's wanting to get a sense of like people just giving into her and just accepting that she's upset for whatever reason. She doesn't necessarily, because there's at times where people present the case and they say to her like, hey, you're being unrealistic here. You're being unfair here. This isn't working. And they have very valid points. Yeah. And she just kind of listens to him and nods and agrees. And then she goes on the offensive and she attacks. And it's not that what she's saying when she goes on the offensive is necessarily right to debuff their argument about what she's doing. She just attacks them verbally because she feels like she's not getting what she wants.
Hence the sandpaper vibes that you get from her.
Yeah, and
it's
so
hard to connect
that
and
sandpaper,
feel that sympathy.
You know, I could have gone with a slightly less coarse grain, I guess, if you want to use that sandpaper.
Fine sandpaper.
Yeah, I could have gone with a more fine sandpaper. She was
finer grit.
Finer grit. She was such a harsh character that she ends up being somebody that I personally just didn't really care to see to get a story arc. Yep. And it ends in this way where it's like quasi-hopeful, but it also has this really sharp negative potential edge. And people are going to see it one of two ways. I don't want to go into detail.
I'm just saying, I already kind of feel like this is not going to be my vibe of a movie.
Yeah. You get a conclusion, but not at the same time. And it's more, I would say the film is more about the stories and the redemption and the process that the people that are in the story are going through, less than getting like a conclusion to the story of her daughter. But that's such a huge part of the story, that the fact that her daughter was murdered and they're trying to figure out who this murderer is, there's kind of all these ins and outs. That's such a huge part of the story that you really wanted to get a sense of what that final answer is. And you don't really get that answer. I'm not going to say whether or not they find out who or how or what, but it just kind of ends. And the way that it ends, because I didn't personally connect as well with Frances's character, Mildred, it just didn't leave me what they said. Now, there is another character, Jason Dixon, that I really like. And I connect with him, and he has a story arc that I really enjoyed, and I really got a lot out of.
Cool. That's good that you have someone to connect to. If you don't have anyone, if I don't have anyone to connect to, I'm out. I'm not even in it.
I think this movie would have been much weaker if it hadn't had the side characters, if it hadn't had the commentary at times is funny, and the commentary is awesome, and it's okay shot. It's not amazingly well shot, but it's decently well shot at times. So yeah, that's kind of my overall explanation of it.
Rate this thing, dude.
So I'm going to give this film a B-. I will say an 80. Right. I was very close to giving it a C+. I'm not going to lie, but there's enough to it that I think, and they're trying to do something a little bit different with it, that I want to give it a few extra points.
It's going to win any Oscars for anything?
I would be surprised.
Okay. It doesn't. I have seen very little push. I've seen some, but not enough. Not as much as like Lady Bird, which by the way got its first Rotten review. It's only at 99% now on Rotten Tomatoes.
Look at that. I feel like this film is. I understand why it's in there for Oscar, for worthy of awards and everything like that, because it has just enough there with the cast of characters and the story it's telling and the edginess of it to go there, but it doesn't tell enough of a message. It doesn't have enough of a distinct standout anything. Right. It doesn't have a distinct standout performance. It doesn't have a distinct standout social commentary or shooting style or anything like that to really make it, or even the music, which is fine, but it's not like, so it doesn't have enough there to, I think, latch onto. Now, maybe one of the side characters, I think Jason Dixon honestly did a great job in the role. Cool. I love Sam Rockwell. Yeah, I think he's hilarious at times.
I love Sam Rockwell as well.
But yeah, I think it's a bit of a. I think it's a bit of a long shot. I think Lady Bird's probably going to end up taking.
Lady Bird. Okay, we'll have to review that one soon.
Yeah, hopefully we get a chance to see it. It might almost be out of theaters soon, but yeah, we'll see.
It's all good. Cool. Well, that's all we got. That's it.
There you go.
But B minus. So actually, I'm curious to see if you check this out. It doesn't feel like it's going to be my cup of tea. I have to have a character to be engaged with. I have to be invested emotionally, and I generally want a positive outcome. And I don't know. So if you see this movie, let us know what you thought about it.
Yep.
Shoot us an email. Find us on the Instagrams, the social media universe, whatever, YouTubes, and let us know. But other than that, again, connect with us. YouTube.com/The Real Review, doing like trailer reactions, all that stuff. I did one for Jurassic World 2, and Infinity War recently, Alita Battle Angel, all that kind of stuff. So check it out. Let us know what you thought. But yeah, any other...
Yeah, I need to get my LaCroix.
Get some LaCroix. Yeah, I don't have any LaCroix either.
Yeah.
But it's all good. But other than that, yeah, it's been real.
It's been real.